We're coming at you off 3.5 hours sleep. It's stage 4 of the MyWhoosh Million Dollar Championships, and we're in Zurich. I'll take you straight to the climb. This is where it was going to be the selection point, literally 4 minutes into the race. This has ramps up to about 16%, and I knew that it was going to be a really tough start to what is the hardest looking stage on paper that I've seen. So punchy. Really wasn't sure if it was going to suit my strengths. As we're heading up this climb here, I think Lyndon had a smart idea by getting a bit of a gap in the first 3 minutes, a bit of a head start, because that was a good idea, because this is getting difficult. We're up around 500 watts here, and we are not even on the steeper parts yet. We come past the group starting their second lap there, like they're standing still, and we are about to get into a minute at around 9 watts a kilo. 300 meters to climb ends, and this is where the pace really starts to pick up in the group. There are some riders being quite sensible. I actually noticed Tugels and Michael Vink right at the back of the pack. Obviously, knowing that an effort like this 5 minutes into a 2-hour race is probably not the best thing for the body. I'm kind of just staying with the lead group here, as some riders are already getting distanced up around 600 watts, and this is starting to hurt a bit. So this effort was 2 minutes at 500 watts to start things off, and I come across the KOM on the back of the lead group there. And we then get a little bit of respite into a short descent, and then we are back into another 5-minute climb. Now, I was thinking the 5-minute climb was probably going to be where I say farewell to the front group, but I wasn't really sure what would happen in terms of the kind of next group. But as we're getting into this climb now, up around like 7.5 watts a kilo, and you can see everyone's pretty much trying to go with it, and it's not too far from here where I start to get distanced. Kind of not really willing to put in the effort 10 minutes in that's required, knowing that it's not going to be good. I'm here with teammate Johan Noren, and we ride together pretty solidly for a while, and we actually start to pick off some riders as we go along, which is good. Now, I wasn't sure how the championships would go. I kind of hoped that I'd turn things around and I could race long races at the level. But as we caught Christoph Kroll, we then worked together. And then not long after, we caught another group, which basically contained all of the Wenger boys. So basically our fourth place rival for the team's comp. It had Bjorn, teammate, and it also had Power. But essentially from this point, our team, because we still had Hayden up ahead, we just sat in because to catch us on time, the Wenger boys kind of needed to catch Hayden from this point. So Johan, Bjorn, and I sat in, and we continued to kind of pick off the field. So my decision to kind of not go all in was starting to pay off, as we're heading up to the 14.5K mark, still climbing. As I said, this course is brutal, and I don't necessarily think that I'm very efficient over like 2-hour races with such punches above. I don't mind keeping it steady, and I find like short punches in short races, like that's kind of my specialty. I've kind of got almost like a world championship style race specialist, I'd say. Whereas this year I've kind of molded myself into being able to be pretty good at the SRC style races. This was just still a cut above. Still climbing uphill at the 21.5K mark here, and I think it's around this point where we catch Lionel. So there's Lionel just up ahead there, and we're starting to form a pretty good group of riders. There's also a nice chase group behind us with Neil, Ruben, Thrall. I think Panitza's there. So that's a strong group as well, about 300 meters back down the road. So our group continues to build, which is obviously a good thing. Finding all of these punches quite difficult at the moment, but it's not too far away from now where we actually managed to think we then catch Kaminsky, Pucker, and Skierski in the next few kilometers as well. And we basically head into the start of lap 2, as you can see just there. We head into lap 2 as a big group. Basically, I think there are 10 guys up the road now, and we're essentially like 11th to 20th, I'd say, or thereabouts. So this is kind of where I should be. But again, an hour 40, no, an hour 20 of racing to go. Um, I'm kind of hoping that on this steep section for the second time, they don't like punch it super, super hard. And I think Kroll is thinking the same based on what I saw on Strava post race. They head into like in excess of 8 watts a kilo. And look, I'm just not feeling the legs to kind of respond at this stage. Noren seems to either kind of wait for me or doesn't have the punch either. But he notices, he kicks up to try and get back in there. And it's there that I have to keep the tempo on down into the descent. And I managed to continue to work moderately on the descent. I didn't want to go over because I knew how much climbing was to come, but I do manage to catch the group before the second KOM of the lap. So back in the group, all is not lost, although obviously after working for an extra like 90 seconds than the group, that's probably going to have a bit of sting in the next hill. I'm hoping that I can survive. I've got up the first part of it with the group, and I am settling in again, hoping that it stays pretty steady and that on a longer climb like this, that everyone rides a bit more of a steady rhythm that I'm more happy to do today, which is the case to start with. So box ticked, I have survived. In terms of the teams race today, at this stage, Venga boys only have 2 in this group, whereas we've got 4. So box seat to us as the distance is opening up to Kroll and Panizza. So that's obviously a good thing. But if Johan or myself drop, then, it gets a little bit more dangerous, I would say. But for the most part, we're in a decent little position at the moment. As I said, this has been a really tough week for me. I wasn't sure about my capabilities over this kind of racing going in. I'm not surprised with the performance that I put out tonight. Let's just say that there's work to do if this was the style of racing that I wanted to be my specialty. But I don't really plan on that anytime soon. The other, like, there's factors like fatigue as well in terms of tiredness. Like, slept 3 hours last night. I feel like absolute junk. So I don't know what I'll have left to give for the boys in stage 5, but hopefully we have something left in the tank. It just sucks. I can't really sleep past 6:30 in the morning, so um, unfortunately I'm just not getting anywhere near enough sleep, and all that stuff has an impact. All the punches have an impact. Like, I'm not used to doing like 350 normalized plus every day, back to back to back. So, as I said, I'm a bit more used to the shorter racing and that kind of thing. As we're heading into the top of this KOM for the second time, I'm dangling off the back, but I am surviving. Just crept over 500 for a moment there. I'm not sure who's pushing on the front, but certainly like a solid group of us at this stage all together. But I am going to survive this hill. But unfortunately, this is where my journey for the day with this group will end, because we'll crest the top of the climb in a minute. And as I'm kind of taking some fluids on board, I get a little bit stuck at the back of the group. And so a segment slayer achievement there. So happy with that. Hayden essentially attacks right here as I'm grabbing a drink. And then there's an instant response from the peloton, as I kind of want that little bit of recovery. The pack kind of go with that momentum, and I have to kick up to 580 watts, 530, and my legs just say no. And there go the guys, unfortunately. So that's pretty much my day done. From this point, I'm kind of hoping that the three boys up the road for the Farm Watch squad can hold on. Now I know they're all very strong guys. They're used to kind of big long efforts like this, so full trust in them that they're going to do it. But I kind of have to keep going steady, which I do. You can see here just holding around 340 watts, 350 watts. Sitting in between the groups there with Thrall, Fryette, Kroll, Panita working well together. At this stage, I thought that I'd keep this pace up to kind of make the Venga boys like continue to chase me. They eventually get me. The descent, like I lost a lot of time pretty quickly. They were working well together. Had a quick wave to the boys and jumped in the group for the next little bit as we head into the next lap. Now, this part again, onto the steep section, and I think at this stage, a lot of it was as mental as anything. I saw Panita kicking up to 7 watts a kilo, and like I just didn't want it. So there, that group go. I kind of just felt more comfortable just riding on my own, just sitting around like 5.5 watts a kilo at that stage. I do eventually continue the effort, and I do see Kroll up the road with about 19k to go. And essentially from this point, because we're both like our fourth rider for the team, so we're not going to count. Him and I both essentially just worked together for the last 10k. It was like a nice pace for the most part, like just doing turns at about 5.5 or something like that. Except for this bit, we got to this steep punch, and both of us decide that that we can do 9-10 watts a kilo again. So we're up over 600 watts there for some reason. Neither of us get rid of the other one. And then the same happens on the next little pincher in a moment. And then from there, I kind of look at my Wahoo, which is telling me that I'm averaging, I don't know, just a bit north of 300 watts, which for me, I don't really think I've done much over 300. I don't think I've done 300 watts for 2 hours before. So that was a little bit of incentive to just keep pushing on the downhill a little bit. Yeah, so the race ended up as we're back over 500 on this punch again, same as last lap. But yeah, the race ended up being on the trainer 297 watts. It was about 299, I think, for 2 hours. 330 ish or just under normalized. So 5.3 watts a kilo. Nothing impressive compared to the guys at the front. And yeah, it wasn't a good race for me, but again, I'm not surprised by it. But I did hold out some hope that I could, that my level would kind of show up at this kind of thing, but not today. As we cross the line there in 20 something position, I think it doesn't matter at this stage. It's now my tours about the team standings, which I did kind of expect that at the start of the series that would be how it goes, but I did want to hold out hope as long as I could, while the top 10 dream or hopes were still somewhat in play. So as I look down the results there's the results of the stage. So I think we finished like 7 or 8 minutes down maybe on the front three. Lots of little groups throughout. Hayden consolidated a top 10 position. The other two boys rode well. As I said, I was well back. There's the GC. Not that for me it's relevant anymore, but down there in 19th. Still super close for the top three there, but it is starting to sort itself out at this stage. Hayden's just ahead by a couple of seconds for the young rider. That's going to be a great contest over the next few days. Farm Watch Squad, that's what it's all about now for me. Fourth place, we put 4.5 minutes into the Venga boys today. Nice little buffer, especially with how toast I felt waking up this morning. Hopefully I can do something, but we'll see. There's the KOM points. And here are the sprint points. Bit of a change up in the sprint points with the green ones being after mountains today. That's the next stage. It's fucked. There's a long mountain early on, long mountain at the end, a steep climb in the middle. See you there.